All right, I'd like to call to order the February 18, 2026 work session of the Lower Southern Township Board of Supervisors. I ask everyone to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. That brings us to our public comment agenda item. Is there anyone wishing to be recognized? Good morning.
Hi, good morning. My name is Lori Yamashita, 470 Wexford Circle. And first, I want to say thank you to the Board of Supervisors. And I want to repeat the thanks that I've given to the Planning Commission. And Mike Buki, is Michelle here? Anyway, I've given a sincere thank you to the Planning Commission because I've followed one project over the past couple of years, 488 Harleysville Pike. I never got involved with any type of local politics or following. What I and many of my Cheswick residents, we've learned through the process. We learned the Planning Committee are all volunteers. I've learned personally how difficult it is to follow one project. And I am retired. And I'd like to, I'll dig up the quote, but when I thanked Manus, I said, well, these volunteers have to be engineers, they have to be lawyers, they have to be writers. The combination of skills needed to go through and follow a single project is enormous. I started the sentence and Manus continued and added other skills. So I want to say I'm a concerned citizen. I don't really want to be here. I'm retired. I'm a professional ski instructor. I volunteer and I teach people with disabilities to do outside sports. I teach them a camelback ski instructor. I'm also a bicycle buddy in Chester County for people that need a buddy to ride with. They may have a bike, and I'm going off topic, but I also want to add, I've said before, I love the bicycle trails. I think the combination of the Board of Supervisors and the Planning Commission had a vision decades ago to connect all the schools and developments to bike trails. And I appreciate that. So again, I'm coming in, I'm grateful living here 39 years. I'm pleased and I believe in the system. What I want to bring up are 3 follow-ups to my previous comments, January 21st, February 3rd, February 4th. Number 1 is with the resolution 26-04, page 6. A big concern we have is Route 113 is widened and designed per the developer. The developer says we've designed it so you can pass on the right shoulder. That would be the side towards the new development. I've talked with the school bus driver. Well, I guess first we know the bus can't go down a private road. It has to stop on 113 for kids. Page 6 of the resolution, it says, okay, they're going to have a bus waiting area as part of the proposed sidewalk along Harleysville Pike. Per a school bus driver in the area, he says, we never want to pick up kids, have them waiting on the main roads. We've designed a shoulder, people pass on the right, it's a bike lane. And there's a proposal to put a bus waiting station. My concern is with the process or the system. The DOT is responsible for traffic safety, but I feel strongly Lower Salford has to look overall. The DOT doesn't know that there's going to be a school bus kids waiting there. The DOT doesn't know there's an 8-foot wide bike trail on 113 on the side of the development. I can just see, we can just picture with the possibility. So I'm very concerned. Also, I'm concerned we gave preliminary approval to the plans before what I think some of the critical detail must be listed. If you put that bus waiting area on 113, isn't that possibly gonna obstruct the view from the new residents leaving Meeting House Road? I think that, so I guess my recommendation is, can we strongly ask the developer to put together a comprehensive plan in certain areas? So we have the full view of what's gonna happen. All of us, I'm sure in this room, probably pass on the right routinely in areas that get backed up. The previous DOT approval would have, I'm going into too much detail. I'm asking the developer to note that bus waiting area on their property where it will be more safe. And I want the township to look at what are the ramifications of having pass on the right shoulder when there's a bike lane. That's number one. Number two, I brought up in the February 4th meeting, there's a demo print. It's DM100, and it shows LOD, the limit of disturbance, the area the contractor's supposed to dig in. I asked the question, is removing trees part of that disturbance? Yes. Well, per this DM100, there's 25 trees located outside of the limit of disturbance. There's trees along the Cheswick Drive, there's trees along Windsor Drive, and there's trees next to Tom Boggs, who lives on Harleysville Pike. My understanding from what I've heard from the township engineer is if the limit of disturbance is wrong, that can be increased. If the limit of disturbance is increased, that will impact the NPDES permit. The stormwater, that National Pollutant Elimination, NPDES, national, well, you know, it's stormwater permit. So if your limit of disturbance is wrong, that impacts the NPDES, and I think that needs to go back and take a look. But more importantly, that is also what I see as a violation of Saldo, it's number 142.39, Article 4, design standards, 39 is grading. It says all grading shall be set back from property lines a minimum of 5 feet. There are trees on the property line. I don't know, I would think you need a waiver to do that, or you need an easement. So it's got to be set back a minimum of 5 feet or a sufficient distance to prevent any adverse effects on adjacent properties. So I'm seeing that it's print DM100. It was last revised in October, but there's also a grading print, ARNA's print CG110. That's a drainage plan. And within the drainage plan, it says, they say, ARNA, no grading or disturbance shall occur within 5 feet of the adjoining property lines or the floodplain soil. So now you look at floodplain soil, they are definitely building on the border. So I see it's hard data showing there's a conflict, in my opinion, between Lower Southford regs and what the drawings say. I know we've given the project preliminary approval. When I came the first time, I used 3 I words. I said, I've observed incomplete, inconsistent, and inaccurate data that ARNA Engineering has provided. I'm not spending a ton of time on this. That's the scary part. I was trained by old guys and say, Lori, if you look at an inconsistency, it's just wrong. You can't tell the DOT one thing and Lower Salford another. So the flaw that I see in the system, it's really difficult to catch gaps. And I think our traffic engineer, our township engineer has done an outstanding job, but we are putting 26 townhouses digging a hole on a rocky slope. Somebody nicknamed this project water, water everywhere. You've got two giant stormwater basins. You want to relocate a natural stream. You're building around the wetlands. There's an existing stream that will be impacted, and the floodplain soil around that existing stream, it's got to be protected. Per the drawings they submitted, I see big concerns. And that's why I'd urge you, before we ever get to final approval, there are other things that have to be addressed. My third and my final item is I brought up chapter 105. That is a DEP water and waterways, or words to that effect. The developer put in a permit application. Now I have concerns. The developer is not consistent with the data they give to the county, to local, and to the state. One of the things I learned, I've talked about, there's over 6.5 acres of land, runoff from 6.65 acres of land across 113. And I always wondered, where does that wetland get its water? And if you look at figure 8 they gave to them, there's also 2.43 acres identified as runoff from Cheswick. So we got a 9-acre plot of land, about 6 acres disturbed, and you've got over 9 acres of rainwater, stormwater coming from offsite on there. I'm concerned, this does not affect my property directly, but it impacts my neighbors who are friends. And I'm very concerned about the folks next to me on Wexford Circle. They're on the downslope. They're more than 40 feet lower elevation from the top of that area. Once big storm, even a little storm, if the ground is saturated with water, there will be 100% runoff. We have a problem, we see it now, not only on that property, but in Cheswick. There's streams that come through. I'm here saying, please, holistically, asking the township to be very careful and review. We've got county, state, and local submissions by this developer. They're not consistent. So again, I believe in the system. That's why I'm here at 7:30 in the morning, not my favorite. I'm not on the ski hills. I gave up a couple days at the kids' ski camp so I could be here on February 4th. I got coverage, but I'm saying I personally will feel terribly if somebody gets seriously hurt on 113 because we as a group trusted the developer with all the details. I'm happy to address any questions or comments.
Any questions for?
No, I just know that our engineers are gonna be reviewing all these things. I appreciate you bringing them to us. And I mean, that's what
The developer is not the one, our engineer has the final say, as do we. And a couple of things you were saying, you have mixed up.
Maybe help me understand.
I don't believe now, without Michelle, I don't know enough about it, cutting trees down is not considered land disturbance.
not all the time. Right, so, yeah.
Right, so you're talking about grading and cutting the trees down, it's two different things.
Right, the limit of disturbance is the boundary where grading, you brought up grading, will require that grading not occur any closer than 5 feet to the property line. What grading is when you're changing the elevation of the land. So you're either making it lower or you're making it higher. That's also the boundary of limit of disturbance. You can remove trees without disturbing the land. And that's what a lot of developers actually do, is they're allowed to go on the other side of the limit of disturbance where all the grading is supposed to happen. They're allowed to go on the other side of that and remove trees without disturbing the land.
How would they do that practically, Mike? Do they cut the tree down and leave a trunk? Do they dig up the roots and just
Most of the time, fell the tree and then remove the tree.
Yeah.
And
Another
not.
thing, you grind the stuff,
Right.
that's still not considered land disturbance. Right. And with the grading, they may just go and cut right to the property line, but as long as they're not changing the elevation. Okay, the grading stays the same within 5 feet, you know, they can plant grass, they can do all that. So there's a few things that you're saying that aren't true. And
I want to learn.
The developer is not making the calls here, we make the call.
And if you have questions like this, the best thing you could do is come in and see Mike or talk to Michelle.
Mhm.
They'll resolve it. And it's up to you. That's a better way to maybe approach.
Oh,
it.
I've talked to, Mike is my best friend, Mike and Patty Remmel, and hey, with the time restraints, I've been out of the country twice in the last 4 months. I had a health issue. But Mike has been a great resource.
Additionally, as the project moves forward, if
Mhm.
there's issues with the grading and if they violate the permits, the county does come in on a regular basis and inspect the site for the conformance with the stormwater permit and make sure that they're doing all of the right things.
And with stormwater permits, you set some calculations. You talk about the runoff, the other property,
Mhm.
that's all taken into consideration with the stormwater capital. It's not like you're just throwing that in there and not taking into consideration anything else. That's all taken into consideration along with all the calculations for this property. Holding the stormwater and the amount of release and the amount has to go back to the ground. Quite a bit of, work was done.
Oh, it's extremely complicated and I know a very tiny little amount.
And I think it's not, I don't think the stream, it's not considered an active stream, it's considered a drainage swale. Until it gets down to where the wetlands, started. Am I correct about that?
I don't know, I looked at the plan.
The fact that they're
If
moving
they're getting a
that.
chapter 105 permit,
Yeah.
he's gonna look at it, it's gonna be reviewed, we'll not go on first.
I understand.
More eyes have to look at it. Especially from state.
Thank you. I've learned more and I appreciate that. And I do know there's other resources out. With the school bus thing, with Route 113, I heard statements that it's the DOT's responsibility, but what about the pedestrians and the bikers? Isn't that Lower Salford Township's responsibility? In terms of, I'm sorry.
Your question. The state of Pennsylvania, that's Route 113, they handle the permitting and whatever safety concerns that you may have, we could direct them to those folks. They've approved that access. I guess the bus stop, there's a similar condition bus stop along Route 63. I think it's Pheasant Run, which if you want to see how it looks and how it works, when the bus stops, right, all traffic has to stop. So you're concerned about passing when there's a bus there. Well, it could happen, I suppose. It's not intended to happen, right? So,
Oh, not while the bus is there, but if a car's making a left-hand turn on Meeting House Road, the track, it's designed to pass on the right shoulder. And I understand that's legal. What I guess, I've looked over briefly the DOT submission. I don't see anywhere on the DOT drawing that it shows that there's bus stop waiting, a bus stop. I mean, if the DOT is responsible for.
well, I don't know if the bus stop's outside the department's right of way, then it would be the township's, purview. But again, we talked about this, I think, at the last meeting, it's gonna go before the planning commission again, and I believe that issue will get vetted.
And I understand I'm in the learning process and I may repeat a question because I didn't fully understand before. So I thank you for your patience, but I don't want someone to get hurt. I will take that personally, that if I didn't try my hardest and I'm making some personal sacrifices to be here because I care
Sure.
and I believe in the system.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, with that, is there anyone else wishing to be recognized? Here we go. I'll take a motion to approve the work session minutes of January 21, 2026 and February 3, 2026 together or singly if there are edits.
I will make the motion for both.
Second. Move this second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those say nay. Motion carries. Public Works Director, Mr. Jones.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just an update on what limited projects that are going on right now due to the weather. The Main Street Sidewalk Project. Pico is still working on coordinating their schedule to do the new service connection for the dentist office. They did Matrix last weekend, I believe. They're still trying to come up with a schedule for the dentist office, so. The contractor's been in contact with the dentist office. I've been in contact with the dentist office, so been in contact with Pico. So hopefully there are no hiccups and no issues with the transfer of service. And all the sidewalk contractors at a standstill until all the utilities are addressed. Pico has a number of electrical reliability projects that are planned or ongoing. One in the Stormfield development that's supposed to be completed this month. They're just doing service connections and finishing up that work. Pioneer Circle, the conduits installed, and they're going to transition to all the service connections over to the new lines. There's one planned on Culp Road between Gruber and Yoder. It's scheduled to start in May of this year, and then there's another wider spread project, the Yoder Road, Clemens Road, Ruth Road area, and all the neighborhoods off of that's supposed to start in May of this year as well. So, just an update on the new public works facility, where we continue to look at other facilities that are either planned or newly constructed, just continue to get ideas and try to make ours the best that it can be. We're continue to look at, the Lucon Road property and see if that's a viable option. We're kind of waiting for the solicitor for an opinion from him as to whether or not we can build there. So, just some department activities. It's still winter. Last week we completed hauling snow. We spent 3 weeks hauling snow out of neighborhoods and developments and problem areas, and we have probably 6 locations scattered around the township that are on township open spaces or underneath utility right of ways. And
Expect that here till June.
it's gonna be there a while. Yes, it will, but it's better there than in the cul-de-sacs, and that's kind of what the goal was, and we think we've made a difference by doing that, so.
Absolutely good.
Still dealing with salt supply issues. We're told that the barges are gonna be in port next week, so who knows if that's going to happen, and at what point, where are we in the queue as far as getting deliveries? So, we have enough salt to probably handle 2 to 3 storms. If used judiciously, we continue to mix anti-skid with the salt just to try to make it go a little farther and still accomplish, safe roads. So, we're still dealing with those issues. Working on our bids for this year. So the equipment rental, the base repair bid, and the pavement marking bids will be out and available this week. The plan is to award those at the March Supervisors meeting. Our new loader plow has been delivered. It's at the supplier's site. So right now we're working on some changes on the loader for a new coupler system to accommodate the new plow. So. We were able to acquire the used office systems. We got a significant amount of furniture. There were a total of 4 office suite systems and 6 cubicle systems that we were able to dismantle and haul back to the township and store. 2 of the cubicle systems are going to be for the admin office, and then 4 are going to be for future use, as well as the office suite systems. I think hopefully the goal is to have, for my office, the assistant's office, where the plan is for some kind of like a foreman's bullpen kind of an area, and then maybe enough for a reception area as well. So, a couple issues with some of our farmhouses. The Bergie Mill House, we had an issue with the heater there. So that's no longer functional. We discussed whether or not it's worth replacing the heater at a cost of about $7,000, and because there's no water in the building, there's nothing in the building itself there. We felt there was really no need at this point to replace the heater just so that we can heat the building that doesn't need to be heated. So, unless there's some new plan or something to happen, that's going to be replacing the heaters on hold for now. The Jacob Reif barn. had a roof panel blow off. One of the standing seam roof panels. The thing is, the wind coming from the west blew through, there's louvered windows that are just open, so I think it blew through there and then popped the panel off, and luckily we were able to salvage the panel. We had a contractor come in and take care of that, so within 2 days it was repaired and replaced, so none the wiser. So that is all that I have. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. John?
Thanks for working through the wind.
Welcome.
And they have the notice to sign out there in Lance, thanking people for moving cars, and that's good community connection.
Yeah, we have the message board, so we figured we put them to good use and try to just positive reinforcement that, the next time we declare a snow emergency or the word gets out that people think that there's, they see us brining, that triggers the thought there's snow coming, and then, maybe they'll be more cognizant of moving their cars and making things a little easier for us. So.
Very good. All right, moving along.
Just two quick staffing updates. Our newest officer, Officer Bubness, effective Monday, moved into phase 2 of his field training, which entails riding along with ZTO and starting to handle calls. Another update, Officer Sangri, who was hired just prior to Officer Bubness, effective February 24th, will be off his probationary year.
All was well on the east side. There's good. All right, building and zoning director, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So far this month, we have 13 permits that were issued, obviously a very slow part of the year, as expected. In our upcoming planning commission meeting, we will be looking at the planning module, a portion of the planning module component 4A for the Moorwood Road subdivision. That's the 279 Fallow Field Lane, right at the border of Upper Southford and Lower Southford. If you recall, you approved the subdivision several months ago, but I'm sorry, the planning commission recommended approval of the subdivision several months ago, and we've been waiting on the sewer for capacity at the Harleysville plant before it's brought to the board of supervisors for the final approval. And so this is a step in that process. It was a little complex because it involved Upper Southford also. And so that we're going to be talking about that at the upcoming planning commission. Also, Quarryville Farm, if you recall many years ago, there was a process of the sale of development rights for that entire farm. With the one of the conditions is that they would still be allowed to construct an additional house. And so finally they come with that proposal to construct that additional house. And no subdivision is required because where they want to put the house, there's no current house on there. And so they would still need to comply with municipal regulations, township regulations, if there was a need to subdivide, but there's no need to subdivide. So literally they're just going to be constructing one house. And so that too is going to be on the planning commission because they need a lot sewer for that. And so that's going to be discussed at the upcoming planning commission. Also, the Indian Valley Regional Comprehensive Plan is currently being updated, and discussion with that they came to one of the planning commission meetings and made a presentation regarding potential development pressures for a particular area in the township right on the other side of the turnpike along Fretz Road and Castle Road. That whole area is zoned R1A, which is our most rural zone in the township. Rural resource, I believe, is the designation on comprehensive plan. So they gave a presentation of 3 separate options for the township to consider to either leave as rural resource or to redesignate as secondary growth area or to redesignate as what is called primary growth area or designated growth area. And so that's going to be further discussed at the planning commission next week also.
So what would be the reason for that zoning change?
Can you bring up the zone? Sure. I'll say that. It might be easier. Picture to work about.
So. Share the screen here, so. Zoom. Okay, so here, this is our zoning map, and this was the area that the Indian Valley, or I'm sorry, that the county has put on the forefront as a potential change designation on the comprehensive plan. So as you can see, this is R1A, which is again our most rural zone in the township, and the majority of the township is R1A, which basically just allows for single family houses on large lots, 2-acre lots, and agriculture. Surrounding that is industrial. And here's the turnpike here, and then this is Franconia Township, and Franconia Township, it also borders industrial zone, or I believe they call it limited industrial zone in Franconia Township. And so the county has identified the potential for development pressures if farms are sold in this area of the township. And so since the Indian Valley Regional Comprehensive Plan is being updated, that's why they're bringing it up to the township to consider, hey, do you guys want to take a look at this? Because of these development pressures, we're updating the comprehensive plan currently, which is required, from time to time. Now's the time to do that. Now's the time to take a look at this to see whether or not the township would recommend that this be updated. Okay.
Right, so if you zoom out, you can kind of see that tan color is a bit of an island. That's kind of what brought this to their attention. That's kind of all.
So they're asking us to consider possible changes for the regional plan so you mentioned this farmland goes up for sale. Toward what end? How do you see the conversation going? I mean, so we're part of the Franconia, Telford, the different upper south. So that piece of property there, if we want to consider zoning changes, what, for the benefit of just.
Well, the Indian Valley Regional Planning Commission is updating their comprehensive plan. So when they do that, right, their county planners look at the 5 other municipalities in the region and make recommendations like this. And for the reasons that I stated, is it's kind of an island unto itself. So obviously we control our own zoning. Do we want to do that, or do we want to consider it? The planning commission is going to weigh in, right, to see what their disposition is and what their recommendation might be. So we'll, it's a wait and see, but that's up more or less the county saw.
And just a kind of back up to that is that, the Indian Valley Comprehensive Plan designated certain places within the area for growth. And Lower Salford, and this goes back, I don't know how long, 40 years.
The regional comprehensive plan for 20 years, right?
But Lower Salford in that portion, so in the portion we're using all the colors, was always designated as a growth area. Like some other areas have quarries, even though we have a quarry, hopefully for not much longer, but that was already pre-existing. But different types of uses were determined for different places.
Yeah, my question relates to, I'm still trying to. That's one of the things that was curious for me is like the jurisdiction we have within our township. Then we also have to work within this region, within this planning commission plan. And this, these kind of properties come up. It's like, well, that's next to an industrial part of Franconia Township or another township. Do you want to consider changing? Do we still have final?
Yes.
The vote on zoning change?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's more of a planning tool
Okay.
for the larger region. And again, I think that the state and other entities always like to see a regional approach to planning as opposed to every municipality, because you do get some benefits from it along the way. But so it's really just looking at the larger picture, and then you see that as Keith said, an island of this R1A in an area that's surrounded by different types of zoning. The industrial on the right hand side, and the R1. What's R1? What's the dimensional?
Off the top of my head, I can't recall, but I believe it's close to an acre, maybe 30,000 square feet.
So it's not small lots, not what they call lot lines, where you cram in a lot of houses, but it's a, you know, a zoning that's probably more appropriate. Because you do have some, non-conforming lots already in there, in the R1A, there's many lots in there that are already under the 2 acre minimum. Because they were done prior to the zoning.
Okay.
So there's lots of reasons they look at it and make that suggestion, but again, it's key that this will go to the planning commission and they'll review it. And then bring it back to us.
It's fine, interesting, ever lower density, it's crazy.
I said, that's it, and Mary Beth and I met with, had the pleasure meeting, Ryan Nace with the fire department, and then Colleen with, the emergency medical group, and some of the conversations there related to, services that, overlapping in an emergency situation between our township and Franconia Township, as an example. And who funds that, who's responsible for the call that comes in, and is the Franconia Township Board of Supervisors aware of what Lower Salford is doing, and what's that communication? And so all these kind of things morph into,
Yeah, so that's one of
How
the
we work
difficulties of,
and how we work with our neighboring townships.
right, well, that's one of the difficulties you have, things happen over time
Right.
and kind of organically. And, Lower Salford, I think for a lot longer has taken the approach that there's a responsibility from the township to make sure that these services are available to the residents. And again, but a lot of these services are regional, they go beyond township borders. But some townships take a different approach. And if they don't have to spend the money, they don't want to spend the money. And, I'm not casting aspersions on anyone, but Lower Salford has always been a little more progressive, especially in the areas of emergency services than some other municipalities. And I would just
Which
leave
is
it.
wonderful, but we still have to continue to fund
Mhm.
facility, personnel, training.
Yep.
All the above.
Yep.
Right.
Well, it's wonderful, I think, for Lower Salford.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Any other questions, comments? Mr. Buki, anything else?
We're good.
All right, moving right along. Mr. Jackowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The one item under the manager's report is the supervisor's quarterly stipend. There was some discussion and
Oh, I can take
I'll
it.
turn it over to you.
So, all right, fine. So last year, prior to the retirement, we had a discussion and it revolved around the fallback track and its purchase and the hiring, I guess, of natural gas trusts. The comment came up was, because there's a cost associated to that, would it be something that the supervisors would be willing to do is forego their stipend, which I think is
$3,200
for a year. For all of us, that would cover natural gas trust fee. So, board has changed its policy since last year. So rather than unilaterally decide something like that, I told Joe, I said, it might be good to bring that up at our meeting, get the flavor of the board if that's something you still want to consider. It's really a yes or no. If we want to do it, it's that funding would be set aside then to pay for at least a portion, if not all, of National Trust contract. That's the full line.
So 3,200 for this year, out of 16,000.
Right.
We would
Correct.
forego that for
Right.
2026 in order to cover that cost, and then review it again in 2027.
Yeah, that's the reality.
Okay. And what was the vote last? I mean, you were all supportive of it?
Yeah, we all
Okay.
guess.
I'm supportive of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things, it's just one additional way we can show our support for this initiative. And I'm fully still in favor.
Yeah, I think it's great.
So with that, I'll take a motion to forego our yearly stipend for 2026.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Listening nay. Motion carries. Feel less to see it.
Gives them
Very good. All right, with that, anything else, Mr. Ducal?
There's nothing further, Mr. Chairman.
Need for executive session this morning?
There is not.
There is not, so with that, we'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll say.
Moving to second, and all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you everyone for coming out. It's good to see you at this early hour.